pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It is, of course, nice early morning, 11:30 on a Monday, a wet, a dreary Monday. How are you doing today so far?
Not too bad, mate. Yeah, suffering from the same weather afflictions you are, I think. So yeah, but I've been up very early with work, so it's
Fair enough.
escaped from the office for a little while, so it's all good.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm based just outside Southend on Sea, so down.
Wow.
Whereabouts are you?
London.
Oh, right, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
not too far.
No, fair enough. Big plan today? Going to be busy?
Yeah, I've got to get back to work, so it's always a bit of a manic day Monday for me. So unfortunately, nothing exciting really happening as far as music stuff goes today. But there you go, such is life.
Okay, yeah, nothing specific about that, of course, but around like bigger picture around it right now, do you feel like things are particularly busy within the band?
Yeah, okay. So it everything seems to be sort of ticking along quite nicely, really, considering it's sort of. I was just sort of going through a few notes. We've only sort of been as Fate's messenger probably less than a year so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've everything sort of come together very quickly. And I think obviously Darren put this together from Resonance. Getting involved with Darren has really helped as well. So yeah, everything seems to be taking shape. So yeah, we can't grumble really.
No, but is everything kind of still feeling quite relaxed and fun? Because of course, as things start to kind of, well, as it starts to take shape, it can get quite manic, it can get quite
Yeah,
busy, it can get quite intense.
yeah. I think yeah, everything is still fun to be honest with you, mate. Because I think I think if you asked all four of us in the band, none of us really sort of had visions of ourselves getting back in and doing music, and it's just
Mm.
sort of fallen into place. So as much as we're trying not to get carried away with things, human nature, and I think us as four collective individuals, we sort of do. You know, we are getting excited by the music. It's still very exciting, very fresh, and I think we're just all glad to be back in a position where we can make this work. You know, so yeah, it's all good on that front.
Good, good, good. You said yourself, we're actually almost at the 1 year anniversary of Fate's Messages existed. November 2023, I
Yeah.
believe, is it, right?
Yes, yeah. I think that's when it kind of sort of it did sort of form. So and it's luckily Ron, the guitarist, had a lot of material just sort of sitting there on his hard drive. So there wasn't really a lot of time of us sort of standing in a room together. It was a lot of it's been done remotely. So
Yeah.
and with today's technology, I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't have happened without it really.
Mhm.
So it's made that the writing sense and actually getting the songs together, pretty painless, I would say, really.
Yes, yes. Without it, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. It almost feels like pandemic wise, following
Yeah,
that kind of period. Like so much was learned during that period about remote working.
yeah. Well, yeah. Funnily enough, you brought the pandemic up. I mean, really, I wasn't even involved in music at all. I'd stepped away from it for a good amount of years, and it was only
Mm.
one of my old bands, a band called Above All. Um, a guy around here, local guy, started doing a podcast during the pandemic. He reached out to me and said, "Would I do an interview with him to talk about all the Above All sort of stuff?" And I was very sort of, really, is anyone going to be interested in that? So he twisted my arm, did that, and that was the spark that got me back into reconnecting with old band members, reliving sort of memories, and and we went down that avenue. I mean, and it just sort of, and I know Ron was doing a lot of writing in that period as well, even though we didn't even know who Ron was at the time, and
Mm.
none of those dots have been sort of connected, but it definitely sort of was a springboard from that era, really, that time.
Just chatting about old stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it was. It was the Above All podcast, and then we did a reunion show.
Yep.
Then we were going to carry on Above All. Couldn't quite make that work just because some of the other members just really busy with life and work, etc. And it was just this is going to sound cheesy, but ignore the pun. But it was fate that me and Will Remain were connected because I recruited him to be the new drummer in Above All.
Mm.
As we couldn't get it to work, but I did say to Will, I said, listen, if you're going to do anything going forward, just keep me in, keep me in mind. And he had history of Ron from Romeo Must Die and Stamping Ground and bits and bobs. Yeah, and that's how we all sort of reconnected, really, or connected.
It is beautiful when it all falls into place like that.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It fell into place very naturally, really. So yeah, it's been, it's been very enjoyable up to this point and exciting as well.
Well, when you kind of reflect on the past almost year and what you've accomplished within this sort of period, are you quite satisfied with what you've been able to do?
Yes, unbelievably.
Yeah.
I think if you'd have sort of said to me, a year ago, right, we're going to be sitting here doing an interview with people like yourselves and having five tunes out on a digital platform across the board. I think we've done two lyric videos and one full performance video. I
Mhm.
would have said you're dreaming, really. I think we all we're all bringing something different to the table as far as what our expectations are of the band. But we've played. Well, one was play shows, get a set together that we can play live, get some music out there. Um, yeah, and I think our goals for next year. I mean, like I say, we're very, very happy with the way things have. Of course, you always want more. I'm one of
Of
those people,
course.
always. But I think we sort of sat down and we were like, what do we want from this project? What do we want from this band? And I think a lot of us were like, let's just get gigging again. Let's play some shows, try and build up a little bit of a following, see if we can get on to a position where we can play some festivals, because
Mm.
back in my day when I was doing it when I was younger, the festival scene hadn't really grown like it has these days. Yeah,
Mm.
and hopefully if things fall into place, that's what we're going to be doing next year anyway. So, but as far as this year goes, it's just been, I couldn't have asked for anything better, really. So we're very, very pleased with the way it's sort of unfolded and fallen into place.
Any particular highlight of the past year?
I would say, for me personally, I would say probably live wise was supporting Earth Tone 9 at their record release gig. Loved that. That was brilliant. We've done a
Incredible.
few, I mean, I think we've only played 4 shows now.
Yeah.
Of course, I think maybe if you said to me, what maybe could we have done a little bit more of, maybe played some more live shows, but
Hmm.
we're all busy working family men as well. So it's getting everything, in a position where we can do that. Um, but yeah, definitely that. And I think, like I say, just getting music back out into the music world. And for me, probably, that first the video we just done for They Will Walk Among Us was the first professional performance video I've ever done. So it's been a steep learning curve this year, but a
Yeah.
very enjoyable one.
Still, it's fun, right? It's still exciting to be learning new things.
Of course it is, 100%. That's another reason why I'm doing this. You know, it it sort of as I sort of said earlier, I didn't really see myself getting back into a band and doing the music thing again, and it's just happened sort of out of chance really, and I'm just really really happy and proud to be doing this again and making it work with also I'm in a band with some really top high level musicians as well, which they're carrying me.
It's great that you're enjoying it so much and that you're really happy with what you've been putting out. But
Yeah,
alongside that, of course, one thing that's really important to you and to everyone is the response to what you've been putting out this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Um, and there has been a stellar, phenomenal response to each individual track, including the kind of full EP, They Walk Among Us, that was released digitally. So are you quite happy with what people have been sort of saying?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, all the reviews we've got back are really, really positive. I mean, everyone's going to have an opinion. Some people are going to like it, some people not. Some people maybe may have been into our older bands, might not get it. It is what it is. I think another one of the things that we sort of set out as a band in the very beginning was we're just writing these tunes for ourselves,
Mm.
and I'll be honest with you, I think we're still developing I think bands are always evolving, their sounds are always, developing. Um, but I think now as a 4 piece, whereas we had quite a lot of material that Ron had in his hard drives, now writing going forward, I think we're all sort of all putting our little bit of individuality, our own sort of opinions, and the songs are developing a lot more as a 4 piece rather than
Yeah.
sort of and but what I would say, all of the stuff, I'm really proud of all the stuff that we put down, but I think we're each tune we're raising the bar each time. So I think the response has been great, but I think it's also a new world as far as for us, well, for me especially, having stepped away from music for so long. just the landscape of music these days and the algorithms and the followers and the Spotify's and the iTunes and just getting out to people, even though the
Yeah.
platforms are all that out there, it's getting on that playlist, because we're going down well with everyone who's listening to it. But that I would say that would be one of our bigger aims for next year.
Mhm.
Getting out to a wider platform. So, but playing shows and making the right connections, and people like yourselves pushing that message out and the sound. It's hopefully it will all start sort of get the ball rolling a bit quicker.
Yeah, but you did use that word, and it's a hope, because obviously, beating the algorithm, or at least finding a way to work with the algorithm, is one of the hardest things to do these days.
Yeah.
Do you have a strategy, kind of rough strategy of how to kind of push yourselves?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think Ron from previous bands, he's done a few musical projects in the last sort of, I'd say, 4 years. I think he's sort of a little bit more versed in when, how, who to push those sort of things. But obviously making connections like with Darren Toms with Resonance, and we're relying on people, who are a lot more, they've got more experience in those sort of things than us. So we're learning as we go along. It's a total different world. Back in my day, it was fanzines, reading the thanks list, checking out bands, writing letters, making phone calls. That was what you did in those days. And like I say, as much as it's easier, you've got everything sort of in your hand with your phone or your laptop. There's a lot more content out there. So, and I think people's attention spans are a lot shorter. For good and bad reasons. Is it good and bad? I think like I say, it's just such a different landscape. But so we are relying on, people with a lot more experience to help us along those sort of lines.
Any help you can get, yeah, everybody needs it. It's such a complex world out there, because it's more than just
Yeah.
a band side thing as well. It becomes almost a personal side of things,
Yeah.
particularly with the social media platforms, where you have to tear back the curtain and reveal more about yourself
100%.
than perhaps you would like to. How comfortable are you with that side of it?
Yeah, I'm getting more comfortable as this year's gone on, because obviously
Mhm.
it's a new world for me. Ron, like I say, I think it's a lot to do with perception, what people perceive. How you obviously, and as for rightly or wrongly, again, is it good or bad? But how you look, how you're conveying yourselves, sort of image, your image that you're portraying.
Mm.
But I think it's just getting used to being in that environment again. Give me the
Uh,
mic and I'm on the stage and fine. It's like, that's come back to me quite quickly. But this whole new side of things, press shots, videos, sort of, building up that confidence again. But I think, we know that it's not our first rodeo, as as the saying goes. And so Paul and Will have all done quite a few different musical projects, done a lot more sort of the social media side of things. So that'll come.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that sometimes as well. That, of course, it's no one's first rodeo. But the moment you kind of look into what Fate's Messenger is doing, you can kind of
Yep.
see the level of a professionalism that already exists in a band that's so new. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, clearly, if you didn't know where most of you come from, you
Yeah.
quickly established there is something there.
Yeah. No, well, that's good to hear. I mean, I think, like I say, this is the first time I've been in a band where the level of musicianship is, it's up there. So it makes my job very, very easy. So I'm pretty confident when I'm stepping on stage that those guys are, they're all right, they're on it. Every band practice, every gig that I've done with them, it makes my life a lot easier knowing that. So it's all shaping up really well at the moment.
But obviously, when it comes to sort of selling the band at this early stage, a press release, if you want, comes along
Yeah.
the lines of featuring X member and so on, this member, and then what they were previously had done.
Mhm.
Because of that, do you feel any pressure personally to live up kind of like to the name of who you performed under before? Like people are going and thinking you're going to sound or be this particular
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think there is a pressure, but I know the amount of work I've put in behind the scenes to sort of develop my vocal style, delivery. I'm a different beast to what I was when I was younger. And I hadn't really, when my other bands sort of split up, I hadn't really developed myself to a point where I was really, really happy and proud of what I could do. I knew I could do
Okay.
it, but I hadn't got to that point in my sort of musical journey. But I think now, with these guys, what they're all bringing to the table, I think we encourage ourselves to raise our game as well. And I just think, whereas before, when we were writing sort of stuff, it might have been, oh yeah, I don't think we'll get away with that. Or with this band, it's anything goes, and we know we can actually perform and do it. So it's like a blank canvas to us. I think if people were into any of our old bands, I think they would see a progression and to say, oh, okay, I can see where the foundations are there, and we're sort of developing sort of the good bits that we had all those years ago.
And this is just who you are now. This is ultimately a
Yeah.
completely different thing. While
See.
if you're a fan of you personally,
Yeah. Yeah. For me personally, my vocal style is just completely different to the way it was, 20 years ago.
yeah,
And I'm
significantly.
Yeah, and I'm just, and we're doing stuff that, like I've said in a few other interviews that I've done, I can't really go back and listen to any of my back catalogue. Just for me personally, it really, there's not, I'm not cringing, but it works in development. Now, any tune that I put on now that we've done, I'm immensely proud of. So, I love it. To be honest with you, is the long and short of it.
I understand that to a degree. I've been interviewing. I think my first ever interview was 2017, and I have never gone back to watch that interview for the same
Yeah,
reason. It may not be cringe,
yeah,
but it will be so awkward. I don't want to experience it.
yeah. 100. Well, I'm the same. I'm the same with it. This is probably about my sixth Zoom interview. I mean, obviously, I do them for work, but that's a bit different. But this I'm talking about something that's a lot more personable. And it's something that I'm building my confidence in, from across the board, really. So 100%, I agree with you. But like going back to They Walk Among Us video, that was, like I say, it was the first time I'd done a full performance video, doing it with Shaun. Loki films. He's done Sleep Token, Slaughter to Prevail. He's got some big bands there, and I was like, but he was great. He just said, just be you, do your thing. And to be honest with you, I think I did, and he didn't really have to give me too many pointers or encouragement. So to me, I was like, okay, I can do this. This is good.
It's fantastic that you have found it, a way to just relax into it, because ultimately you want to get something out of this as well. As much as you want to put out great music and you want people to come and listen to it and the band to be successful, you want to take something from this band on the music on a personal level. What do you think you are taking from it?
I think I'm. Good question. I think it's given. What I would say for me personally, it's given me a very positive sort of distraction in my life. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I've got a great family. I've got a great life. Don't get me wrong. But, I suffer from the same pressures that everyone else does. And as I've grown a bit older, I'm sort of making up for lost time. I've sort of stepped back and gone, actually, looking back on some of the things that I've done in my life, which, I really enjoyed. It's helping me to find a balance. And it's a really positive distraction. It's a great way of letting out aggression, frustrations. A lot of people don't really listen to sort of heavy music in whatever genre. They probably don't understand. But for me, it's also open like sort of a creative sort of side to me that I don't really sort of tap into in my normal day-to-day work life. So this is kind of, it's almost like I wouldn't say it's like a split personality, but it's just another side of me that I sort of tucked away for a long time. So it's given me almost a new lease of life, I would say.
Fabulous. I think everybody can actually completely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yep.
What is it though, do you think about Fate's Messenger that is appealing to so many people so far? Because the numbers don't lie. The views, the comments, the response is strong. It's having an appeal, and it's having an early appeal. So what do you put that down to?
I think we're kind of writing with a bit of freedom. We're not really trying to attack sort of one sort of genre in the metal world. We've got a lot of, you listen to us, we've got a sort of our hardcore roots, but we're not a hardcore band. But, Ron's got a lot of thrash influence in his writing and his riffage, drumming, basses. And I just, we're not a metalcore band, but we're sort of we've got a lot of influences that are just sort of showing themselves through our sort of songwriting. And like I say, nothing's off the table. If there's something that we wanted to do, say we wanted to go and do an industrial tune, or we'd give it a go to see what we could create. So I think that there's melody in some of the areas. There is some beat down, breakdown, metalcore. There's just a lot of little bits there that I think a lot of people can go, actually, yeah, I'm quite into that. And we're not sort of labeling ourselves or sort of pigeonholing ourselves to one scene. So that was for me, that was like, let's just chuck it on the table. Let's pick up the pieces and see what we get. And like I say, now we're all sort of chiming in now with our sort of the way we're writing tunes. And I think we are sort of finding, I think I was speaking to Darren the other day. I sent him the will be the next track that we'll be releasing, which to me, again, I think it's our best track to date. And I know every band, so I'm not going to be one of those guys and says it's the heaviest song we've ever written. It's this, it's that. But for me, it's definitely the most developed, and we're finding our sound a lot more. I think it's taken us a little while to do that, and we're doing that. So I would say we're stepping up with every track, and I think there's a little bit of something for everyone, and we can appeal to a lot of scenes. So that seems to be with a modern twist as well, which, because things and sounds have developed as we've sort of stepped away from music.
Fascinating, really, because of course the idea is you need to be put in a genre. You must go in a genre for it to be even explainable to algorithms for Spotify and Apple Music and all that nonsense to a degree. But it is fascinating and fun to see at the moment as well that you just sit under the banner of metal.
Well, I would say,
That's
yeah, I would say we're a metal. We're a metal band. I'm not going to sit there and say to someone, I'm not going to turn around and say yeah, we're a hardcore band, because a lot of hardcore bands sound like metal bands these days. But for me, hardcore is probably more about the attitude and your involvement. You're putting on shows, you do it like I was years and years ago. But I'm not doing that because I haven't got the time in my life. I do love a lot of hardcore bands. I also love a lot of metalcore bands. I love a lot of metal bands, a lot of thrash bands. So we're just writing heavy music, and I would say we're a metal band. So that's the way I would describe us.
There you go. Yeah, for fans of metal. Talking about your vocals, then you talk about development, talk about what you've been learning and the experience of growing and stuff like that. Obviously, with that, and that's great fun, has been, no doubt, very exciting for you, but some challenges, right? Have you found is any particular thing quite challenging regarding your vocals over the last year?
I would think the most challenging thing about developing an aggressive extreme vocal style is finding a place that you can do it without actually screaming the house down. Do you know what? So I've gone on. I've watched the YouTube videos. Obviously, when we practice in the rehearsal room. That's fine, no problem. But it's being able to taking that time away when you're not practicing with the band. My personal favourite places are when I'm driving around. That's a really good place in the car. But I've developed a way of doing it. All the vocals that I've done for all of our recordings, I've self-recorded at home. I've done all of that. I've learned basically how to record my voice, develop the sounds that I've developed. Most of that was probably driving around in my truck, and a little bit of practicing at home and watching, various peers in the scenes, and how they do it, because you've only got to go on YouTube now, and there's the Extreme Vocal Institute, and you've got Melissa Cross, but then you've got all the videos of Will Ramos and all these incredible deathcore singers, and how they sort of but don't get me wrong, you've got to practice a lot to do it. And I'm not the finished article, and I'm not trying to sound like anyone in particular, but I do take elements of listening to these guys and what they can create with their voice, and are sort of incorporating into where I am. I mean, everyone's always got their own natural tone anyway. It's your voice is your voice, and the way you manipulate your vocal cords, and using your is it the fry or the false calls, your fry screams, all that sort of stuff. Everyone's got their own you're going to sound like yourself anyway. So it's been a fun experience, but like I say, I think it's been trying to do it at home without getting the neighbours banging on the door and calling the police, to be fair.
God damn, yes. That is such an interesting problem to have. Did you have a moment though over the last year, like particularly I guess with the songs that are already out there, where you surprised yourself, you hit a moment where you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just done that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I have. I mean, I would say in all of the songs, I think once I got up and running and I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And then it was a case of turning up to practice, um, doing it and not losing your voice, learning how to control it, you know. Um, just every song's been a little bit different. And there's been some, bits where I've maybe been more melodic and more of a sort of, more of a tuneful approach to maybe some of the choruses and bits and bobs. That's probably where I'm looking to develop a little bit more. As you know, I would say my clean vocals, which we will incorporate, and there's like even the new one that hasn't been released yet. That's a massive hooky part in that. And I'm really, really pleased with it. And again, developing it, that sort of stuff's easier to practice at home, I would say. The aggressive stuff seems to be taking care of itself now. When I sort of send all the vocal tracks over to the rest of the guys, I think they would probably go, yeah, I think they've all been very, very happy.
Yeah.
Positive. And again, you need that as an artist to get a positive response. You're doing something very, very personable. You're putting it out there going, right, guys, have a listen to this. And I think I'm quite fortunate the fact that I don't really claim to be, I'm not precious about it. If I put some stuff out there, send it over to the guys and they're like, doesn't really work. We don't really like that. Maybe you're not hitting those notes. That doesn't bother me. I rely on their feedback as well, because their ear might be a little bit better than mine on,
Yeah.
So it's been a very good learning experience, but I'm pretty positive with it all now.
This is a hell of a thing to be able to do, to swallow your ego to such an extent where you can take that criticism.
Yeah, and like I say, going back to what I mentioned earlier, I wasn't very proud of any stuff the old stuff that was out there. There's enough of my old music and my own old vocal stuff out there, which is fine. And don't get me wrong, people do like that. But to me, that wasn't the finished article. I think now I'm getting to a point where I can hold my own and I can do it live as well. So it's given me that's the other thing.
Yeah. That's it. You nailed it there. You know how important it is. We've talked about it already, how important it is to be able to do that live and for yourselves to just be able to enjoy that aspect too. But yeah, the fact that you're capable of doing it live as well it's fantastic, because of course you said at the start, over the next, well, I guess 12 months into 2025, that's kind of going to be a major focus, right? Just getting out and playing as live as much as you guys possibly can and hitting that festival season.
100%. I mean, we're all honest, and we're not going to be like a full-time touring band. We're a full-time band, but not a full-time touring band. We're going to be weekend warriors, as as a lot of bands have to do these days anyway. Get on the festivals, play a few shows here and there as much as we can. I'd like to get on some decent, well, I don't mean the word decent, but some of the bigger metal supports. I'm quite happy to play a small club, or I'm quite happy to play, I think it's just the vibe and to be honest with you, with Fates, I definitely like a club that's got, or a stage that's got a decent sound system. I think that complements, our sort of sound. If we was a bit more of a stripped back punk D-beat band, it's not so important. But I think with the way that we've written the songs and sort of the sonic sort of textures that we've created with this band, we do lend ourselves to a good sound system. And I remember when we supported Earth Tone 9 at Black Heart, I was amazed how good that sound system was there for, I don't know what the cap is there, probably 250 maybe. But the actual sound system there was just phenomenal. And in sound check, I was like, oh, you take a step back and you listen to what we were actually creating. And I was like, you could feel the floor move. There was so much power in it, and it was brilliant. So any more shows like that, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's the venue that I tell people all the time. Listen, you might be young and you might think you don't need earplugs or loops or anything like that, but you've got to go a show at the Black Heart. You make sure you put something in because you got to feel it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, I think when you listen to any sort of any heavy music, no matter what genre, it could be, drum and bass, metal. When you're listening to a sound system that's actually making the floor move, and you're feeling sort of that power coming from the speakers, and I think that's what we all love about it, isn't it? That's what that's what hooks you. That's what just gets you into it.
And that is, I think, what's hooked a lot of people in Fates Messenger already. Of course, we should mention Saturday, the 26th of October, down in Norwich, you are Octofest,
Yes. Well, actually,
which
I
is
think we're playing the Sunday, I think. Yeah,
it's a 2 day. Yes, it's a 2 day.
That's
You're right. Yep.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. That was all thanks to Darren at Resonance. So I think we're playing with Raging Speedhorn. I think Burner are playing. They're a band I haven't seen yet myself, but I'm really looking forward to seeing them. I really like their releases, and I'm sure there's going to be loads of good bands. Obviously, Earth Tone are playing the night before. Got a lot of time for them, and I'm sure it'll be a really, really good night. So looking forward to that one.
Beyond that, though, it's all systems go. Going to continue as you've basically done for the last 11, nearly 12 months. New music, fresh content, just as much as you
Yeah, we're
possibly
going to keep
can.
plugging. I mean, we've still got. I think we've got two. We've got another song waiting in the wings that we recorded, sort of as a batch that we did together. We're holding that
Yeah.
one back. We hopefully have got someone quite special doing some guest vocals on that. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but that's very, very exciting. If that does happen, I can't say who it is, and that song is an absolute face melter. It's whereas I think some of the new ones have we've settled down into this really pummeling heavy groove. This one sort of reverts back a little bit more thrashy, but there's this it's got groove to it. But yeah, like I say, if this person does actually have the time and can step up and do it, it's going to be a real sort of feather in our hat, I think, to get this person to do some guest vocals. So it's quite exciting, really.
How's that? That's so bloody exciting. Can't wait to hear these tracks. But for now, of course, there's plenty out there, so do check those songs out. Tony, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Carl, you're an absolute diamond. Appreciate you giving me the time to have a little chat about this band.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.